There's a rule among urban explorers, an unspoken one. Nobody writes it down. Nobody says it out loud. But every single person who has ever crawled through a broken window into a place that time forgot knows it. You don't go after dark. Not because it's harder to see. Not because the floors are less stable. Not because the security patrols get more frequent. You don't go after dark because of what comes out when the light leaves. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I broke the rule, and I need you to understand. Before I tell you what happened inside the Callaway paper mill on the night of October 14th, I need you to understand that I am not the kind of person who believes in ghosts. I was not. The mill had been abandoned since 1987. 38 years of rot, of rain seeping through collapsed sections of roof, of pigeons nesting in the rafters and ivy crawling up the brick like the earth itself was trying to reclaim it. It sat off Route 9, about 40 minutes outside the city, far enough that nobody bothered to fence it properly, close enough that teenagers dared each other to get near it on Halloween. I had been planning this explore for 6 weeks. I had my gear, 2 flashlights, backup batteries, a headlamp, my camera rig, motion-activated lights for static shots, gloves, dust mask, knee pads. I was prepared. What I was not prepared for was my phone dying in the parking lot before I even went in. I want to be clear. It had been fully charged, 100%. I had checked it at the gas station 12 minutes before I pulled up. And when I reached into my jacket pocket as I stepped out of the car, the screen was black and cold, and no amount of holding the power button brought it back. I told myself it was the October chill. I told myself batteries do weird things in the cold. I went in anyway. The main floor was exactly what you would expect. Massive. The ceiling vaulted 4 stories above me, crisscrossed with rusted iron beams. What had once been enormous paper processing machines stood like skeletal giants in the dark, their gears locked, their belts long since rotted away, their silhouettes throwing shadows that moved when my flashlight moved. The floor was a graveyard of broken glass, yellowed paper, and collapsed shelving. In one corner, someone had built a small fire pit out of cinder blocks. Old, cold ash inside it, beer cans crushed flat around it. Teenagers. Good. That meant the floor was solid enough to hold weight. I started shooting. For the first 40 minutes, it was perfect. The light was incredible. Deep shadows, these gorgeous textures of decay, peeling paint that looked like skin, water stains on the walls that formed shapes I kept almost recognizing, and then I heard the door, not a bang, not a slam, a click, soft and deliberate, like someone very carefully, very quietly, pulling a latch closed. It came from the floor above me. I stood still for a full minute, listening. Nothing. The building settled. Wind pushed through gaps in the walls. Pigeons shuffled somewhere in the high dark above me. I went upstairs. The staircase was on the far east wall, iron bolted into brick solid enough. I tested each step before I committed my weight. 12 steps. I counted them. 12 steps. And then I was on the second floor landing, sweeping my flashlight across a long corridor of offices. The doors were all open, every single one, except for the last one on the left. At the far end of the hall, that door was shut, and there was light underneath it, not flashlight light, not the blue-white of an LED, something yellower, warmer, like candlelight, or like older light, the kind of light that used to come from incandescent bulbs, the kind of light that had not existed in this building for nearly 4 decades. I almost left. I want to be honest with you about that. Every rational part of my brain was composing the drive home, was already tasting the gas station coffee I would get on Route 9, was already laughing at myself for getting spooked. But I am a documentarian. Curiosity is a sickness I was born with. I walked to the end of the hall. I put my hand on the door. It was warm. Not room temperature, not slightly warmer than the air. Warm. Like a hand had just been pressed against the other side. I pushed it open. The room was an office. A foreman's office, maybe, or a supervisor's. There was a desk. A chair behind it, wooden, high-backed, facing the window. And on the desk, a lamp. Turned on. Burning yellow-white. Casting a perfect domestic circle of light across the desk's surface. On the desk, a coffee mug, steam rising from it. I checked the lamp. It was not plugged into anything. There was no cord. The base sat flat on the desk, and the bulb burned as if powered by something I could not see and cannot explain. I picked up the mug. It was hot, fresh. The coffee inside was black, and it smelled real, and that is when the chair turned around, slowly, the way a chair turns when someone is sitting in it and they push with one foot. A slow, casual rotation. The chair was empty, but it turned on its own until it faced me fully. And then I heard breathing, not from the chair, from everywhere, from the walls. A slow, heavy inhale and exhale, rhythmic, like something enormous was sleeping inside the building itself. The temperature dropped, not gradually, not the way rooms cool at night. It dropped all at once, like stepping into a freezer, and my breath came out in clouds of vapor. My camera turned off, my headlamp flickered, and in the moment between the flicker and the dark, I saw something in the window glass, a reflection. Standing directly behind me, a man, tall, in work clothes, heavy canvas pants, suspenders, a collared shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked like a photograph, like something from another era, slightly faded at the edges, slightly wrong in the way old images are wrong, too still, too posed. He was smiling, and he was pointing at the door. When my headlamp came back on, the reflection was gone. The lamp on the desk went out. The coffee mug was cold. I moved. I do not remember deciding to move. My body just went. Out the door, down the hall, back to the staircase. I counted the steps going down. 12, same as before. Except when I reached the bottom, I was not on the main floor. I was in the basement. I had never found stairs to a basement. There had not been a basement door, a lower level, any indication the building had a subfloor at all. But there I was, standing on concrete, the ceiling low above me, the air thick and wet and cold, and the walls were covered in paper, thousands of sheets, pinned, taped, nailed into the concrete, all of them covered in the same handwriting, over and over, the same phrase, filling each page completely, margin to margin, top to bottom. Do not leave without me. I ran. I do not know how I found the stairs. I do not know how I got out. I remember broken glass under my boots and cold air hitting my face. And then I was outside, in the parking lot, under the open sky, gasping. My car started on the first try. My phone, dead since before I had gone in, lit up the moment I touched it. Full charge, like it had never died at all. And there was a notification waiting for me, a text message from a number I did not recognize, sent at 11:47 p.m. while I had been inside. It said, "You left without me." I went back to the records, the Callaway paper mill, October 1987. The reason it shut down. A worker named Edmund Greer, night shift supervisor, found dead at his desk on a Tuesday morning by the opening crew. No cause of death was ever officially determined. The medical examiner's report listed it as cardiac failure, but the notes in the archived file said something else. They said his coffee was still hot when they found him. They said he was smiling. They said the chair was facing the window. I do not go into abandoned buildings after dark anymore. There are rules in this community, and I used to think they were superstition. The folklore of people who needed stories to make the dark feel meaningful. I do not think that anymore. Some places are not abandoned, some buildings are not empty, and some things that once lived inside four walls never found a reason to leave. If you have ever felt something watching you in a place that should have been empty, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Stay safe, stay in the light, and whatever you do, do not go after dark.